Can somebody explain to me in crayon eating terms why I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage and I cannot afford to live?
I know he kind of answered the question himself in his own video, but I want to highlight one thing he briefly mentioned and talk about it, which is that the American dream is dead. Yes, the traditional American dream, which is like doing better than your parents and being able to provide a lot for your family, is dead, or at least it's changed. Because there are many of us that are well aware that we will never be able to make as much money as our parents did. And I think my mother, who is a boomer and benefited directly from the system in place, said it best when she once said, roughly, that the American dream has changed. It's become very apparent to everyone that in this economy, Gen Z, millennials, and some Gen Xers, many of us will not be able to do better than our parents. We won't even be able to do as well as our parents. And now the American dream has become just being able to get by, being able to maybe afford a house at some point, maybe have a kid or two if we're lucky enough to make that much money. And a lot of us, myself included, who has now experienced company financial related layoffs twice so far in the last 2 years since I've entered the job market. You know, those of us who feel like we're constantly in fight or flight about bills and how we're going to keep making it by, it's making us miserable and feel so hopeless. And yes, I could sit here all day and show you graphs of how inflation is going up, and while wages are going up, it's just not matching inflation. So it feels like we're all just constantly working and working, and the goalpost just keeps getting moved further and further away from us. And yeah, it has a lot of us extremely stressed and worried and feel like just giving up because we're constantly running a race where the finish line is getting moved further out. And I think it's obvious that we're all just really exhausted by it now. I know I am. I'm constantly hitting a wall with all of this. And a lot of us have to wake up every day blatantly knowing we will never do as well as our parents did. And we just have to try to make it, somewhat close to that. I'm sorry. My dad passed away several years ago on this date. So I'm just thinking about him, and sometimes I feel like he'd be proud of me, but sometimes I feel like he'd be very disappointed. But he was also an extremely intelligent businessman with multiple degrees, so I think he, more than anyone, would really understand what we're all feeling right now.